Hello, we're the Board Buds. Today we're going to be reviewing Creature Caravan from Red Raven Games. This is a game by Ryan Lockett. It is a tableau building dice placement game where you try to travel across the land to reach the city of Easterly, I think. And along the way, you're going to play a bunch of cards to your caravan, which open up more slots to put your dice. And now we'll get into talking about the gameplay. All right, Callie, where do you want to start with the gameplay for this?
Yeah, so the core gameplay of this is basically drawing a ton of cards and then choosing to either pay the cost to play them or discard them to get more resources, and then using the dice that you rolled to put on those cards to either get you more resources or movement to move your caravan across the map with the goal of getting to the end. So a lot of the decision is basically which card are you going to keep. You get a lot of cards in this game, I feel like.
Yeah.
So you're trying to really combo your board and figure out what's worth paying for or discarding, or if you want to kind of keep those more expensive cards to play later or not. So a lot of kind of decision making in that, and a lot of variety on what kind of cards are coming up.
Yeah, you're definitely going through a ton of cards and looking at a ton of cards in this, at least if you want to do well, I think. I think the first time we played it, we maybe didn't cycle through as many cards, but after that, we very much just dumped cards for resources, and some of which were used to just draw more cards. And I think pretty much every time we play it, we go through the whole deck, or at least pretty close to it, and it's a pretty big deck.
Yeah. I like the cards, like, you have to pay attention to the cards too, because some of them will be like, this one's worth more points if you have this card too, and things like that. So you kind of also have to take that into account and like, all right, do I hope that that card comes up or do I not? And like things like that, because, you know, other people are taking cards too. So maybe you won't get that card, or maybe you do want to play that card and hope that you get that other card to get those extra points and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's fun decisions of, do I keep this big expensive card and hope that I can play it later and that it's worthwhile then, or this card's going to be worth points if I have a bunch of frog people? Am I going to end up seeing a lot of frog people? Yeah, sure, let's find out.
And a lot of them have like different trait requirements. So you might be like, oh, I want a bunch of frog people, but I also like this frog person wants a bunch of magic creatures. So you're trying to get like the most frogs and the most of this other trait and maybe another trait. So you're kind of deciding on which ones you want to invest in, which is why you want to draw a lot of cards, just so you can see more of them. You know, keep those ones that are going to get you more points or more combo potential.
One slight negative with that is there's a number of cards in there that require one specific card to do certain things, and I feel like the chances of getting that one specific card are pretty low, especially if you're playing with a lot of people who are all just cycling through a bunch of stuff. Like, there's the Insect Queen or Bee Queen or something, which...
Pixie Queen. I think
is
that's
it
what
Pixie Queen?
Pixie Queen.
Which makes the tiny cards with the tiny tag not take up space, because your caravan can only have 12 cards, and if you have her, the tinies don't take any space, but like the chances of getting her aren't great. And then some of the other pixie things combo off of her or require her to either score or to do their
Certain
ability.
things,
Yeah, I can see that as a negative. There are some other ones too that just like are one-off kind of. If you have this person, get more points. So
Ancient Engineers.
Yeah, I
feel
saw him
like,
a lot last time I played, I feel.
I feel like I see cards that require him all the time, and I don't know that I've ever actually seen him himself.
It's not a huge downside. I feel like usually you can kind of just ignore it and it's nice to happen, but it does kind of feel a little pretty random that like, yeah, if it shows up, I'm just getting more points.
Yeah, that wasn't a huge negative, just a slight downside. If you're building your strategy around trying to find one specific card, that's a bad plan, and you shouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah.
I did like that there was a nice variety between like, you know, what each card did, and different kind of styles you could go towards. You could go heavy on just making the food resource to pay for more cards, or you could go heavy into like making gold or going into movement, or doing more of the combat stuff. So nice variety there. I feel like every time I kind of do a different build.
Yeah, I think there's a good variety. It doesn't feel like I'm playing the same exact strategy every time because so many cards and just whatever I end up starting with is kind of what I'm gonna go towards.
Yeah.
What do you feel about the market board where you can either trade in gold or the luggage bag things, and that gets you more bread resources, which is what most cards require, and also some points at the end game?
Yeah, that is kind of where most of the actual player interaction happens on the market board. Because when you pay for that, you put a cube on that, gets you more resources, and then after I think 2 turns, that space gets locked out, so no one else can do it. But you can do it for different amounts. So if you see somebody do it, you might be like, oh, now I have to do that because I wanted to get that in before it's completely locked out. Or maybe you just ignore it and go for a higher tier reward. But that's the majority of the interaction between players. Otherwise, you're mostly just doing your own thing.
But
I like the market as well because sometimes it's helpful too. Just feel like, well, I need more bread right now, but I have these, and like I'll just go trade and get some more, and that's helpful too. And like you said, it helps get you points at the end as well.
I feel like it maybe not always, but definitely can be a huge point source. Like if someone ticks off basically everything on the market board, they're probably gonna win if they do both all the coins and all the bags. Not that anyone usually does that.
Yeah, and it's definitely a way to change what your strategy is.
Yeah.
If you are kind of want to go more into just generating a lot of gold and doing all of the market spaces for gold versus, just trying to get a lot of movement and points on your cards, you can do that.
There's also the zombie board, Ember zombie board. It works basically the same way, except it's you're paying how much damage you do to the zombies instead of coins. But it's the same interaction point with you put the cube on and it goes down 2, and then it's also worth points at the end.
Yep.
It doesn't give you any resources to do it, but it does get rid of a zombie if you have one, which are negative points at the end if you still have them. They're just negative 1 point per, so it doesn't end up usually being a huge deal, but something to consider.
I thought that was an interesting mechanic. It is similar, but different in ways where like you can only do it on zombie spaces.
Yeah.
And like you can't really bank up your swords. So when you fight creatures, you have to actually put dice into like multiple sword spots to get higher sword numbers. So it's a little bit different in that regard, and it's pretty interesting. And I definitely think you can go like heavy on that too. And I think a lot of the kind of cards with swords also usually have some negatives to them as well.
They're often worth negative points at the end, I think.
Yeah, so they can be quite strong, but also have a downside in that regard.
Yeah, I feel like when in our plays, people don't usually go that route. I think probably mostly because playing a card that's worth negative points is kind of counterintuitive, and
Yeah.
that is definitely those market boards and the zombie board are the only player interaction that exists, and even that is barely there in my opinion. Like
It definitely
go ahead.
I say it definitely there's not a lot of interactions like going into this game.
This is one of the most multiplayer solitaire games I think I've ever played. Doesn't necessarily bother me in this, but it's pretty intensely a solo game.
I will say on the plus side, everybody goes at the same time, so it makes the game go a lot faster. You aren't necessarily waiting on other people, unless you finish your turn super fast. But overall, it's pretty speedy and light to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely quick. Not really a lot of downtime. Like even if you finish fast, people aren't usually taking a long turn in this.
How'd you feel about kind of the movement options and going across the board?
It feels good to move across the board, and I like to do it. Like sometimes you'll get a bunch of move cards and kind of just fly across the whole way relatively quickly, and it feels good to do. But I don't know that it's all that interesting as far as your options as what to move. You kind of just move where you can from left to right as much as possible. And you
Yeah.
can sort of aim for some special spots that might give you some slight bonuses, but if you don't have the cards to move onto the right terrain, you're just not going to.
Yeah.
So I like it, but I don't think it's like a huge drawing point or anything to
Yeah.
the game.
And sometimes it feels really bad when you don't have the cards and you feel just kind of stuck and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'm not moving this round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely feel like getting a move over any terrain is quite strong because
Yeah.
if you only have access to like your basic move, what moves over planes, it can feel kind of difficult to move far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the distance you move is worth points, and ending each round on a different spot is worth points, and making it the whole way to the city at the end is worth additional points. So movement is relevant and a thing you probably need to do, but you don't have to reach the city to win. But you probably have to at least have moved a good bit to win.
Yeah. I do like that it's another just way to score.
Yeah.
Another thing that you can focus on.
I agree. Any other gameplay things anyone wants to talk about?
Nope.
All right, we'll go to the art and bits and such. All right, Annie, what did you think about the art and bits and whatnot?
I like the art. I usually like the arts. But I like the creatures a lot. I think they're all interesting. Some of them are very cute, some of them are not, but they're still fun to look at. I think that there's a lot of variety in the creatures too, which I find fun. So that's just an interesting part of the game too, that there's just a big variety, which there has to be with how big the deck is, honestly. But the bits are fun too. Like there's little tent things that you put when you camp for
Yes.
when you move, and I like those.
I can't pick those things up.
Yeah, they are hard to pick up, but I like those, and they're nice little wooden things. And the dice are nice. And you have little wooden cubes that you put, like we were talking about when you do the market and the zombie stuff, which are nice. But I don't know what else. What other bits are there?
That's mostly it.
Yeah.
There's a couple cardboard coins.
Yeah.
And
Coins
bags
and
and food.
the fruit as well.
Yep. So which are all good quality, just standard kind of cardboard
Yeah.
pieces, but they feel good and
Yeah.
no complaints there.
Yeah. I agree about the art for the most part. I like Ryan Lockett's art most of the time. If you've played like Rome or some of his other games, I think a lot of the humanoid creatures in this are the same races or whatever, like the frog people and stuff. Frog people, bird people, I think. So you've probably, if you've played those games, you've seen that art before. It's that same quality and stuff. I like his landscapes and such more, and I think in this they really stand out as nice. Like the board looks really nice. It's 4 or 5 cardboard tiles that randomly make up the path you travel along. And cards have landscapes and buildings and stuff that I like quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I think that's a big draw is his kind of unique style. It's very nice and it's different from kind of any other game that I've seen. Overall, yeah, I think all the card art is done pretty well. My only very minor complaint is I think some of the cards do just have the same art on them.
Yeah.
It comes up rarely. It is a very large deck, but you will occasionally notice it, and I'm like, oh, is this the same card? Oh no, it's slightly different card, but the art's the same.
There's like some giant creatures that
yeah.
all have the same art as
So
the one that stands out to me.
Kind of a very minor nitpick. I can't really minus it too much for that. But overall, I thought, yeah, the variety was pretty good, and all of the creatures and landscape look cool. If you like his art in his other games, you'll definitely like the art in this one.
I did want to point out I usually don't really like green. The green in this is really good, and I like it a lot. As a player color, not as a general grass or whatever. The player bits that are green is a very nice green.
I do like the quality of the dice as well. They're like wooden dice, nice and light, and they just have a good feel to them.
They do, yeah. Any other that stuff?
Nope.
All right, let's get into our scores. All right, Annie, what do you want to give this as a score in your final thoughts?
I would give this like a 9 out of 10, probably. I was gonna say 8.5, and then I changed it last second. I just really like the way it looks, and I think it's fun. And I kind of enjoyed that everybody goes at once because it does kind of make it faster, and it's nice. It's just a fun game to play.
All right, Callie, what do you think?
I also am going to give it a 9. I very much enjoy this game. It looks great. The tableau building is, I think, really fun. Every time it feels different, and it kind of just feels like doing a little optimization on my part to figure out everything and maximize my combo there. And like Annie said, the fact that you play at the same time, it makes this game like pretty speedy. I think we knock it out pretty fast, which I think for kind of the quality of the gameplay is definitely a huge plus.
All right, I guess I'm the low man on this one. I was going to go with a 7.5. I do like it quite a bit. I don't actually have any real negatives. The turns are fast and everything, and I like the art, but just not as interesting to me the decisions as they thought, I guess. But it's a good game. It's definitely not one I ever turn down. I'm always happy to play it, and think it usually takes an hour or less, regardless of how many people we're playing. So no complaints really, but 7.5. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Nope.
All right, that was that. Bye.